Hi everyone, it's Nichol Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be creating a Slim Scenescape Rainbow and Unicorns box pop-up die. This is an add-on to the Slim Scenescape Builder from Mama Elephant that creates, of course, this wonderful rainbow background. I am also going to be using the brand new little unicorn agenda stamps and dies. We're going to start with all the pieces. This is the background piece for the rainbow add-on. And then you get this kind of rectangular piece in the add-on set that you can use the straight edge, or there are two different cloud borders that come with the add-on set, so you can die cut this into a rainbow shape. So for instance, for my card, since I am going to be doing kind of an up in the clouds type of scene, I decided to die cut each of that long edge with the clouds, but you might want to create something completely different and you wouldn't want to use the clouds, so it's great to have that option. From the regular Slim Scenescape set, we have the front and the side panels. We're using the straight panels today. And then from the add-on, we're using the rainbow. Now you're getting a lot more dies than just the ones I'm showing here in each of the sets, but the rainbow add-on also has like a sunshine builder, balloons, the balloon strings, and some other things like that. I decided to die cut the rainbow since it is a solid one-piece die from smooth white cardstock, and we're actually going to add color to each of the rainbow rays with distress inks, starting with shaded lilac is what I've already done. I'm using cracked pistachio now. You'll notice that I make sure and clean my glass work surface in between each color change so that I am not cross-contaminating, and then I just have this microfiber cloth that I was cleaning my brushes. My brushes need a good cleaning. In fact, this project inspired me to take just a little 20-minute break, and I went out after I inked everything up and washed all my brushes. So they really needed to be washed so that the color is true. Then I am doing twisted citron is what I just did, and now squeezed lemonade. We're doing a pastel rainbow. I really was looking for a rainbow that was going to match the colors that I am using for my unicorns, which we're doing second today. We're building like all the box scene stuff first, and then we're going to do our images. And the last two rays, we're going to have some spiced marmalade and then KITSCH flamingo. And I really love how these colors work and how they're gonna play really nicely with the unicorns that we're gonna color here in a minute. So once we have this done, I wanna add color to anything else I'm gonna use on the box creation. And I really want it to all flow together well. So we have the background piece that is where the rainbow's gonna go, but there is some space around it and in the center of it, since we're not using the sunshine or anything today, that I think needs some color, as well as all of the inserts for the box pop-up. So I'm taking my cracked pistachio and I'll ink it up a little bit here and there, but this is just a light coloring along the edges. So we're adding that shading along the cloudy borders for the inserts. And then I want to add color, like I said, to the background half circle piece, the back of the card, and also the front and the sides. I want this to be a seamless design. So I'm going to take the smaller cloud stencil from the Fawn Slim Cloud Stencils, and it has two different borders on each long side here, and this is going to work because I'm not going to have to piece together the clouds really for this piece, since it's the nice slimline style, and we're just adding the cloud design. I want this to peek out from underneath the rainbow once we add it. And then for the front and sides, this I decided to go ahead and attach the side panels to the front panel. This is not normally how I adhere this, but I really want it to be seamless from the front to the sides with my clouds, which you'll see here in a minute. So I'm putting some nice strong double-sided adhesive on all of the tabs, and we're going to make this a nice long strip. Then we're going to take our cloud slim stencil again, and we're going to do a couple of rows of clouds along the edge here. And you can see by using this, we are going to have to piece it together just a little bit because it's not quite long enough to do this long of a strip, but it definitely is easier than using a standard size stencil. And this gives us that beautiful seamless design that's going to go from the front of our box card around the sides. Okay, let's go ahead and assemble our rainbow and our box card, starting with our rainbow rays. I am taking a little thin line of glue, and I'm going to start from the outside and work my way in, since to me, I didn't want to start in the center because I thought it would be a little bit harder to line it up correctly. It's a lot easier to get that kind of eyeball that distance from around the top and then the bottom. And I'm going to work fairly slowly and just build my rainbow right here on this background panel. This is so cute, you guys. I think this is a really fun addition to the pop-ups. There's so many different kinds of scenes you can create here. I'm anxious to try some of the Mama Elephant stamp sets that have critters holding balloons like floating up in the air, because I think that would be really cute with clouds and the rainbow as well. There's so many things to do here. You might have noticed that in the last few weeks I have done a couple of other slim Scenescape cards with this Mama Elephant basic builder set. This is the first rainbow add-on one I've done, but I love it because it just gives you so much more room to build a fun scene. Okay, once we have our rainbow ready, we're going to grab the rest of the components. Now we've already assembled the front of the box and the sides, remember, before we stenciled it. So there's kind of what it's going to look like. Oh, I forgot, before I assemble, now that I have the rainbow and the clouds, I decided to give some shimmer. So this is some Hero Arts white iridescent spray that I spritzed first. We use Distress inks for everything here, so they are going to react with the water just a little bit. There's going to be some little lighter sparkly areas all over this. I want to do this and let this completely dry. You definitely don't have to add this if you don't want to, but I think given in the right light, it just adds some nice little sparkle and some distress to our rainbow background. Then I'm also going to take some white picket fence distress paint, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my work surface here. And then I'm going to add just a tiny bit of water. Watering it down helps it thins it out and it helps it splatter a little bit better. And then we're going to splatter this all around the design. And this will add, again, a little bit more distressing to it. It's really subtle, but I like how it kind of takes the whole background, the scene of the card, and distresses it just a little bit. And then we're going to set these all aside to completely dry. I probably let this dry for, I want to say 30 minutes to an hour. Actually, I think I went and did made some lunch and a couple of other things like that, and then I came back to this. It would also be a good opportunity to stamp and color your images. I didn't today, but it would have been a good time to do that. This is the HOORAY Wishes die cut. This is from the dies that coordinate with the HOORAY Wishes stamp set, which is a previously released stamp and die set from Mama Elephant. And I love this HOORAY. I think it's really pretty. I love the scripty style of it. I die cut it from some Simon Says Stamp holographic silver cardstock, which I think, again, very purposely, I picked this holographic cardstock for the magical quality of it, with a unicorn and rainbow type of card. I like when you tilt the holographic paper in the light. It really reflects the light. Super, super pretty. In addition to the HOORAY, there's some stars from the Slim Scenescape Builder. We're also going to die cut a bunch of those. I think I either die cut 3 or 4 times. It's a single die, but it die cuts multiple stars, but we're going to need a bunch of these stars for our background. Now that we have our HOORAY in place, I am going to attach one side of the side and front panel of our box. We're just going to attach it to the one side first. We want it to kind of line up with that straight edge at the bottom of our background. And then we're going to take our inside panels, which are the cloud panels. These are the layers that go inside. And I am showing 3 layers. You guys, you can use less. You can use more if you want to. I think you could maybe get as many as 5 in here without it not being too crowded. I think 3 or 4 is probably the max of what I would want to use, but it just depends on what kind of scene you want to build. We're going to put more of that strong double-sided adhesive on the tabs, and then we're going to attach these to one of the sides. So that little side section right there between the front of the box and the back of the box, you can place that anywhere along that side panel. And what I mean by that is I just kind of eyeball it and do as close to an even distance as possible. But I find it's easiest to attach the box by doing one side and then folding it over to attach the other side so that they're perfectly evenly spaced. And I'm just checking and double checking as I'm placing one side of the cloud inserts or layers on this side panel. There's 2, and now let's add the 3rd one. Then what we want to do is make sure that they are lined up perfectly with the bottom of the box. And I am just checking this before I remove any backing paper. So let's just go ahead and pull that off. I use my tweezers to help keep my fingers out of the adhesive. And I'm just checking again. Yes, okay. So laying it out flat so that they're staggered, I'm simply lining up the inserts with the bottom of the box so that they're perfectly straight, and then laying this piece all the way over, pressing in place so that they attach to the other side, and then we'll just remove that last little bit of tape and attach it to the back of our box card. And this way they are perfectly even. Look how cute our little up in the clouds scene is with that great rainbow. Okay, now it is time. I'm just going to add a few little stars and things to the background right now before I start adding in anything else. We need to stamp and color our unicorns, but this is a great time before I have anything else sticking up in the way. I know I want to add some of these little silver stars. They were die cut from that silver holographic cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and they look really cute and fun. We're also going to go ahead and add the rest of our sentiment for the card. So we have the HOORAY, but then we are going to stamp additional sentiments from that HOORAY Wishes stamp set on some Simon Says Stamp Fog Gray cardstock. I'm going to stamp 2 different phrases from this stamp set. We're going to stamp It's Your Birthday, and then 3 cheers for the birthday girl. I'm going to prep the cardstock first with a powder tool, and then stamp each of these lines of text with clear embossing ink and heat emboss with some white embossing powder. Then in the Slim Scenescape Builder set, there is a couple of different options, and I've used the other option for my previous 2 Slim Scenescape cards. It's this long rectangle piece that fits the front of our box that has some stitching detail around it. I'm not really using anything else on the card with stitching detail today, plus it takes up pretty much that entire front panel, but there is this great banner and I wanted to use the banner. So I am stamping each line of the text individually. I mean, they're individual phrases anyway, but I want them as close together as possible, like not a lot of room between each line of text. So it was I needed to stamp those individually, and then I'm adding my embossing powder and heat embossing them one at a time, and then we'll take that long banner die and die cut this into a banner. I chose the gray cardstock. It is light. I love how the white embossing looks on the light gray because I still think it shows up great, but I really wanted something neutral that was going to blend into my scene yet still be enough of a focal point that it draws your eye. It is along the front of the card, and when I'm doing a scene card especially, I am always very aware of the color choices I'm using. I know I talk about this in some of my other videos, but I always like to point out that it's a very conscious decision, pardon me, what color of cardstock I used for the background and what I used for the text, because I want the focus to, yes, be on the sentiment, but also to be on the cute scene and not just be this glaring black stamped sentiment right on the front of the box. Now, off camera, I die cut a whole bunch of the little unicorn agenda images on some Bristol Smooth cardstock. This is a scrap that I had left over from another project. Scraps are perfect for little agenda images since it doesn't take a ton of cardstock for these. I stamped everything with jellyfish no line coloring Lawn Fawn ink because we are using the Zig Clean Color real brush markers today to do some no line coloring. Light grays for our unicorns and the unicorn horn, and then a little soft pink for cheeks. The little cloud, I did a little minty cloud there. And then I started with a little bit of blue. You might have noticed that it was a little bit more of a traditional blue to start with, and I didn't want to restamp it, so I thought let's just try to color over it with the mint marker, and that worked really well. It's not called mint, it's called green shadow, but it's kind of got that minty look to it, which matches the cracked pistachio, remember, of our clouds and the rainbow ray and all of that. Then I am using my favorite rainbow colors of markers here. We have peach pink, sugared almond pink, bright yellow and yellow, light green and yellow green, turquoise green and green shadow, and light violet and pale violet. So not a ton of markers today. We're only going to color in about 4 of these unicorns on camera since it's going to be repetition for all of them, and we want to save a little bit of time because this is a longer video with all of the steps to build this box card. But I do want to show how I colored all these guys in. Little gray tint and warm gray here for the unicorn body, and then I did blend it out with a blender. And then the natural gray marker for the hooves and the unicorn horn was the darker gray marker, and also the gray tint marker, just to kind of draw your attention into that part of the image. These are so cute. I love the little agenda images. I know you guys love them too. They are so popular, and Mama Elephant just keeps bringing the cutest little critters and images to the little agenda collection. I'm so, so glad that they added the unicorns. I think they're really fun. I like to outline with my darker marker, especially, I mean, always. I'm pretty sure I always do that when I'm coloring with these, but for sure with these teeny tiny images where there's not a ton of shading, just trying to use the very tip of my marker to kind of outline the shape and then blending it with the lighter marker. And only 2 shades per color family. I guess except for the gray where I used 3. Once I've colored in the image, I'm going to take a fine tip black pen and draw the detail back in for the eyes and the nostrils. We'll just do a couple more here, and then I will be die cutting all of these images with the coordinating little unicorn agenda dies. And I die cut all of them all at once. I left enough room around each of the unicorns that I was able to tape all of my little coordinating dies in place and then run them through my die cutting machine, saving a little bit of time. It is a little bit of work to line up each image and figure out which one goes with which, but definitely worth it to not have to fussy cut these little images. I did about 2 unicorns at a time before moving on to the next ones. Isn't that color fun? I just love all the rainbow color here. Now that we have our images, I'm also going to die cut some clouds from the Slim Scenescape Builder, and then I added a little cracked pistachio to these as well. We're going to speed through assembly for the most part. I have talked about this before, but I trimmed some clear acetate strips using the Lawn Fawn acetate, and I'm going to use them as picks. I then adhere the images to the end of the pick, and then I figure out how long it needs to be to tuck it back behind each layer in the pop-up box card, and then I'll trim it and adhere it in place. So we're going to kind of see where that needs to be, trim that down. I'm using strong adhesive, the double-sided adhesive for that, and then we're going to tuck it inside of the box, and it looks like that unicorn is sitting inside of that cloud floating up above the borders in the cloud. So we're going to have a lot of stuff floating in today's card. Unicorns up in the clouds, and then even some stars. One of my favorite little discoveries as I've been creating box cards over the last couple of weeks with this set is adding little pieces to the acetate picks that float up above. So I did another card that I will link down below where I floated some hearts, and I loved it so much that I thought, wouldn't it be fun to see if these holographic stars see if they would float in the sky as well. I've also done quite a few unicorns sitting in the cloud borders or kind of jumping from the cloud borders so that there's a nice mix of images not only on each of those inserts but then flying up above. We're going to decorate each side of the sentiment strip in the front of the card with a unicorn, one standing and one laying down. I like adding a little something there to the front of the card. If it's not completely filled with sentiments or anything like that, I like to add a little color there. And then we're just simply figuring out where we want our clouds. I did use all 3 clouds. There's 3 cloud dies that come in the Slim Scenescape Builder. that really works nicely with this, and I did use all 3 of them. I like to do embellishments in an odd number, and so I like those 3 clouds popped up. I did adhere them more out to the side so that the hooray in the background is still visible, but I don't mind some of the images kind of overlapping it a little bit. I think that's really fun. It's starting to come together. It is so, so cute. I just love all of these little images here. Tweezers are fantastic. Reverse closing tweezers that stay closed. I like to use those for the images that maybe don't have a whole lot of area that is glued to the box, if that makes sense. And so it just kind of pinches that liquid adhesive in place while it dries. We're going to add more stars. And then here is where we're going to take stars and add them to our acetate picks. Now that we kind of have our unicorns and our clouds where they're going to go on the card, we're going to fill in areas with some acetate picks that have stars on them. I did about 4 of those in the box. Just did I think I do about, can't talk. I did about 2 stars per pick. And look, it looks like the stars are floating. Isn't that fun? The acetate is so magical because you can see through it. And yes, you can see it up close, but kind of from a distance, it just looks like everything is floating in the box, which is my favorite thing to do with these pop-up box cards. Now, this card does fold completely flat, you guys, and it folds, I mean, it's almost flatter than some cards that I make. It's going to fold nice and flat. It fits in a standard slimline style envelope. I love the envelopes from Simon Says Stamp. I picked, I think, the lemon chiffon slimline envelope to place with mine, and I will show you that there was a picture of it at the beginning of the video so you can see what that looks like. Now, one of my favorite things to do is to give the back of my card a little more stability, plus this is a card. And where are you going to write your message to the recipient? Well, the back of the card is the perfect place. So I actually die cut that semicircle shape again from some mint cardstock, and I'm stamping the Hooray and Hip Hip from the Hooray Wishes stamp set right on this panel with clear embossing ink, heat embossing with white embossing powder, and then adhering to the back of the card. So not only is it a perfect place to handwrite a sentiment, handwrite a message to the recipient, but it gives your box a little bit more stability, which I really appreciate and love. That's going to just kind of help it last a little bit longer, and again, help it kind of sit up and maintain its shape when the recipient takes it out of the box and sets it, you know, on a shelf or the table or whatever. And I did the Hip Hip and Hooray separately, so we'll just do that really quick. And then glue this to the back of our box. And I'm going to put quite a bit of adhesive on here because I want it to be nice and flat and not pop up at all. And then we'll add just a few remaining holographic stars back here to decorate the back of our box. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Slim Scenescape Rainbow and Unicorns pop-up box card. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring the Slim Scenescape builder that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.